And this is our living room. Doesn't look much like a living room now, but this is where we shoot ABC 123 songs. I'm going to take a bit of a behind the scenes look on what it takes to record a YouTube channel for kids. And so this is the green screen setup. It's a little bit hard to take, it's a little bit hard to imagine how much space this is taking up. But this is actually one of the most important things when you're setting up a green screen, is that the green screen be far back behind the talent. And that's why you'll see a long runner on the floor, which is actually a separate, these are cloth green screens, actually pretty cheap to buy on Amazon. You can find a link in the description below this video. But there's one that's taped to the ground. I believe that's a 6x9 green screen. And then another one which is a 10x13 that is raised up on these stands. And this green screen in the back, which is the one that is behind the talent, behind Sherry as she sings, is actually a good roughly 12 feet back from where she sings. And the reason that that's so important, one of the most important things when you are shooting a green screen, is that if the green screen is too close behind the talent, then the light that shines off of the green screen is going to bounce back onto the talent and create a very unnatural green spill around the side. And so that's why you want to have as long a room as possible. I have the camera way back on the far wall as I shoot. And so what this creates is the ability to separate the talent from the back green screen. And it has to be a very large green screen in the back when you do that, because of the perspective that happens when you're shooting from so far away. And so we have to get it as high up as possible. That's literally as high as those stands will go, probably, I'm guessing about 10 feet up. And it's a 10-foot wide screen. And that's what we have to do in order to get the green screen far back behind. Then the second thing you have to do with the green screen is you have to light it evenly. And it's very important to actually first of all, we use soft lights. We're using fluorescent lights in these Flora fixtures here. There's actually 6 Alzo 85 watt bulbs inside each of these fixtures. And each of those puts out the equivalent of about 450 watts of light, but they're much cooler than regular lights. And so we're looking at quite a bit of light that's going back on that green screen. It's all soft light, and these lights are pulled back far enough that they can light that back pretty evenly. If you look through the camera, it's a pretty even green. But even with all of that going on, when Sherry stands in front of this, there's going to be a little bit of spill. And always when you do light any talent, you're looking first at having a key light, which, as I'm looking towards the camera, that key light is, I like having a very soft key light, but it's a very powerful light that's up above the camera, slightly to the side, and at about a 45-degree angling downward. That's called the key light, and that's the main light for the talent. And then typically on the other side, you'll have a fill light, which is a very soft light, down a little bit lower, and it's a lower intensity light. And then the final light in a 3-point lighting mix will be a backlight, which is typically up above, shining downward on the opposite side of the fill light, on the opposite side of the key light, which is that light over this way. And basically just lights up the back of the hair and separates the talent from the background. But when you're in a green screen situation, it can become important to separate even more. And so what I do, if you look carefully, there's a slight magenta tint on those. I put instead of a single backlight or hair light, I'll have one on either side, and each of those has a magenta filter on it. And what that does is it balances against that green spill that's happening on the back of the talent, and helps to separate her from the green, and it prevents that green spill from happening on her clothing. I also do add a second fill light on the other side, just to help balance in any shadows in this runner on the floor. These help to fill in any shadows in Sherry, and also to help to balance the light evenly. And so those are the main lights that are happening. Then you'll notice a few other things that are going on. One of them is that, if you can picture, as I go back to where I'm shooting, any light sources that your camera can see in the frame are going to be causing glare. And so I've got to flag these lights off, and that's what these are here. I've got a flag that is preventing the camera from seeing this light in view. I've got another flag preventing the camera from seeing this light here. In an ideal situation, I would have soft boxes around all of them, because the soft box basically blocks the camera from being able to see that light source. And the other thing it does is it helps prevent that light from spilling anywhere that I don't want it to go. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough soft boxes, so I used these umbrellas to soften the lights. In terms of the quality of the light, there's basically no difference between an umbrella softened light or a softbox softened light. But basically what I had to do is I had to flag these umbrellas to make sure that those light sources weren't in the way of the lens, didn't get into the lens, because they would cause glare. I also had to flag the backlights. You see one flag there for that LED backlight, and then another flag that I just kind of hung below the main key light to flag that one LED light way up in the corner. So that is the way that I have lit this green screen. And then I did have I built this cube and painted it green. You don't actually have to buy chroma key paint. Chroma key paint is handy, but it's not absolutely necessary. So I just painted it green. And when I use the cube to sit on, I have to add another light down below. So I've just put a little umbrella light down right in front at the bottom in front of the talent. And what this umbrella light does when I turn it on is it just fills in the bottom area, just because most of these lights are happening from up above. And so it helps to fill in those lights. Then another thing that we're dealing with here is as you shoot, when you shoot on a green screen, you notice that now that we're dealing with widescreen video, there's a lot of useless screen space taken up by the wide edges of my frame. And so why should I just have those unused? You can actually get a much greater resolution by tilting your camera 90 degrees and then zooming in. And now you're actually using all of the picture information of that frame. And so say, for instance, I actually do shoot this with 4K cameras. The reason I do that is because having much greater resolution to deal with creates a cleaner key. Even though I'm actually using quite inexpensive cameras, I use an LX100 and an FZ1000 Panasonic 4K cameras to shoot this green screen channel. But what I started to do is I'm actually not only shooting in 4K, but I'm turning the camera 90 degrees. And in so doing, I actually have 3,840 vertical pixels now. And because when you shoot green screen, usually your subjects are standing. And so it is a sort of a portrait orientation, not a landscape orientation. And so by tilting the camera 90 degrees, I can actually get the most possible picture information in that frame. And then that allows a much, much cleaner key. And actually what that allows me to do is it allows me to zoom in on the talent. So in my first big shoot for the kids channel, I actually used two cameras. One I shot wide and one I shot closer. But in the second shoot, I'm only using a single FZ1000 camera. And what I'm doing is by shooting in this vertical orientation in 4K, I have so much resolution now to play with that I'm able to zoom in artificially in post and just shoot with a single camera. So I can actually get a close-up, a medium shot, a long shot, whatever I need, all from the same camera angle. And it's a little dark in this corner. Let me see if I can boost this up a little bit. You can see that I have a 90-degree plate that I put on the tripod that, let me focus in here. A 90-degree plate that I put on the tripod that lets me shoot that, but keep the camera at its regular orientation. I could tilt the tripod all the way over, but it's a little bit cumbersome to use that way, so I do use a 90-degree plate. And then I just mount my Tascam sound recorder, my wireless receivers here, and wire them up to the camera. You don't see the camera here because I'm actually using it to shoot with, of course. But that is the basic camera setup that I'm using now to shoot this green screen. Another couple of tips is that when you are shooting a green screen, do have the green that's behind about a stop or two lower in brightness than your talent. And the reason is if you light your green screen too bright, then you'll get a lot of green spill on the talent. So make sure that you don't put too much too much light on the green screen. Have it evenly lit, but evenly lit slightly lower intensity than your talent. Another thing, if you can shoot with cameras that have more color information, if you're shooting in 422, most H.264 recording cameras, which includes most of the lower end, and when I say lower end, that means below about $2,000, shoot in H.264, which is a 420. Doesn't have a whole lot of color information. If you do shoot in 4K, you can get around that. I found that even though it doesn't have as much color information as some of the higher end cameras, that if you do shoot in 4K, you have enough resolution to deal with that you can get actually some really clean keys out of it. So moving on, what we do is I actually create -1 sort of karaoke videos that I play on a laptop that is hooked to a computer screen that becomes the teleprompter, so to speak. It's not an exact teleprompter. It is off to the side from the camera, but it allows me to have the lyrics scrolling on the screen at the same time that the music is playing. And this actually is the music source. So as the laptop is playing the karaoke words that go on the screen, that the sound of this QuickTime that's playing the words is also the sound that's being recorded as a cue track, as a guide track on the 4-channel sound recorder, and it's also being pumped through my living room stereo here, which provides the sound that is lip synced to when we do the recordings. Then the sort of last piece of the puzzle is that the intro to each video and the sort of thanks at the end is not lip synced. It's recorded live, and so in order to do that, I do have to record on a 4-channel recorder. This is a Tascam DR70D Mark II, and it can record 4 channels. The first 2 channels are live sound. I add the camera recorder for myself. I actually have a mic on me so that I can do the slates, and then my wife Sherry has a wireless mic on her that she can do the intro and the outro for each video. And because that's recorded on a 4-channel recorder that has the 2-channel music recording recorded along with it, and then that is pumped into the camera, so the camera has a matching guide track, then it's all really easy to synchronize afterwards. And I actually do the sound mixing later. I will do the full sound mix of the recording later and then match it up with the camera, because it's all been recorded to that guide track in advance. And so that is what's involved in terms of production. And if you do picture, this is quite a lot to set up. And this is my living room. Somewhere in there you see the living room couch that's up on its side. My dining room table has lights on it over there. It takes roughly a full day to set up all of this green screen, the lighting, test the lighting, the computer set up. We shot for 2 solid days to record about 18 songs, and then all of this has to get packed away when it comes time to pack it up. And that's going to last us for about 4 or 5 months of songs, and then all of this will be done all over again. So this is how we set up the green screen for our YouTube channel. I urge you to subscribe to the channel. abc123songs.com is the website, and youtube.com/c/abc123songs is the YouTube channel. You can actually subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tips like these. It's youtube.com/Graham A. Jones. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer, and I will post links to as much as possible of the equipment that I use. I have done a lot of this over the years, and I'm not paid full rate for this. This is my sort of hobby projects, and so in so doing, I've done a lot to research sort of the cheapest way to do this effectively. I've experimented with some very low-cost solutions that didn't work, and I've found some solutions that are actually pretty reasonable but do the job. And so I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and post links to how you can buy this stuff. And I would say that a little caveat, the links that I give, I may get a little commission off of when you make these purchases, but it's a way that you can help to support me being able to do more behind the scenes stuff like this. So hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. This has been Gray Jones. Follow me on Twitter @GrayJones as my handle, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye-bye.